Hello everybody. I'm doing a little bit of a different video today, as you can tell. Don't normally show my face on here, and it's not just to show off the cool do. Although, of course, that's pretty obvious since about half of it is disappearing into the green screen. I tried to fix it, but just the time of day, it's kind of a pain. In any case, I wanted to talk to you about something that I don't often talk about. So, I've mentioned this a little bit on Twitch, but I don't talk about it very much on YouTube. I mention it slightly at the end of some of my videos where I do have a Patreon. At the end of last year, had a couple of jobs go away. Through various reasons, I wasn't fired or anything, but my father was retiring and things like that, so some of the jobs that I had were gone. And instead what I did was devote all my time into this. I did it full time. So for quite a while, you've probably been the recipient of my 7 days a week of video content. I've been making videos every single day of the week and trying to push out as much as I can and make cool stuff for all of you wonderful people, including this new video series that I want to do today. So I'll talk about that in a moment. But the problem is I'm just a little bit short of where I need to be to keep doing that. So I had a goal that I needed to meet by the end of February, so about a week left, where I needed about 175 subs on Twitch and a certain amount of Patreon. So right now we're about 40 subs short. What that means, I won't quit the content, but I might have to do less of it unless we can get enough. So I don't like to ask for a whole lot, but right now I'm about $50 a month short of where I need to be. So if you give on Patreon, more of that money goes to me. If you decide to sub on Twitch, there's lots of cool things that I give for Twitch people as well, for the subs, and for all the patrons. But about 40 subs equals, it's a little bit more than 50 bucks, but somewhere around there is kind of just what I'm short. Every little bit helps. If you have $1 or $2 and you can pitch into Patreon, I've got the link at the end of the video or down below, and I really do appreciate it. Like I said, if it doesn't happen, it's fine. It just might be a little bit less content. I might have to scale it back a bit. And I don't want to, because I want to have a really cool video series that I want to do for you. And I'm going to get into that now. Okay, so what am I getting into here? What we're going to do, as you may have guessed from the title of the video, is I have started a brand new account. I've called it Free to Win. And I'm going to be trying to do a video a week, and we're going to have certain rules around it. So I'm not allowed to spend any money on the account. I've done the campaigns, and I have done, not these campaigns obviously, but like the main starter campaigns, and I have done the puzzles, is where we're at right now. Now, what that gives me is 8,150 total gold, 400 shiftstone, and of course we have a free forge after completing a gauntlet, and then some of these quests. So we have our daily quests. And I'm going to, every week, do 10 games in ranked after I do gauntlet and forge. And once I've unlocked ranked, I'll do 10 games with the deck that I can make at the time. And we're going to build from that deck from the bottom up. And I'm going to start with the deck right now this week. At the end of the month, we're going to see how far we can make it. I'm going to try and masters at the end of the month, doing an entirely free-to-play, casual kind of gameplay here. So let's get into it. Okay, I know I just said moving on, but I'm actually going to pull back for just a second. I'm realizing that this is a series that, unlike most of my series, is going to be for very new players. So I want to go over, to get started, I'm not going to go over all of the basics of the game. I'm going to assume that you know how to play. To get on that level, what you'll want to do is you're going to want to start off with the campaigns, which are kind of a tutorial to the game, and then right after that, go into the puzzles. The puzzles have a lot of different cool interactions in the game that you might not come across normally, and it really explains the differences between something like Magic or Hearthstone if you're more familiar with those types of games. So I'm not going to sit and explain all of the basics of the game. I'll try and tone things down a little bit. This is my first attempt at this, so I apologize. If you want to see something in particular, just let me know in the comments below. But follow along with this series. I'll do one a week, like I said, and we're going to try and build decks together, and I can try and help out people a little bit with building the starting decks that they can get to higher levels of play. And if you look down below, I'm going to include a deck list for where I'm at on that week, the deck that I'm running, and you can actually just copy that and export it directly into your game. So when you go to make a new deck, there's a spot to make an import deck, and you can do that. So you can follow along that way, and like I said, if you need any help, let me know. There's a bunch of guides for the puzzles if you happen to get stuck. I have one for some of the older ones on my channel, but there are a bunch of other ones as well that are looking around for some of the new puzzles, and you can just Google search that really quickly and you'll find the new ones right away. Hopefully we're all on the same page and we're going to move on to the Forge. Because of the extreme limitations that we have for our cards because of the free-to-play nature of this start, we're going to start off with Forge. It's kind of weird because it asks you to do a gauntlet and then you get a free Forge ticket, but you end up with about 8,000 gold, like I said, after you do the puzzles, which takes a fair bit of time, but you can get a lot of free gold that way. So we can start off with some Forges, add some cards to our collection, and make the gauntlet grind a little bit easier, and probably get the start of a deck. Because right now we don't even have like 4 Oni Ronins or anything like that. We've opened 3 packs, which you get at the start. So we've gotten 2 Hair Trigger Strangers, and it's just not enough to actually get anything going. So we're going to start off with a Forge, and I'm going to do that this week. We're going to do Forges to get rid of our money, and then we're going to end with a gauntlet deck that I've made so that we can run it through. And so let's go ahead and do some Forges. So with Forge, it's really all about, in my mind, trying to stay in 2 colors and be pretty consistent. Because for the most part, the AI is pretty easy to beat. I haven't had a lot of trouble with the AI most of the time. We can also take a lot of value cards, and I don't mean that as cards that are good in the Forge, but if you see a legend, you just take the legend. Even if it's something that's unplayable in the Forge, because most of the time you should be able to get a pretty good win rate out of it anyways, and it's worth it to just rare draft, as they say. So here I'm going to take Saurian Stranger. Burnout is okay, but it requires a little bit of building around. Showdown seems terrible, so we're going to take Saurian Stranger. And then Static Bolt. We'd like to try and stay in 1 color for as long as possible, if there's any reasonable pick, and then move out from there, because you don't want to get trapped into 2 colors early that you might not want. These are all very medium. Jotun Warrior is a body, so I think that's okay. Pack Hunt is really slow, and the +2/+2 for only that turn is generally not good enough. You have to have a very stalled out board for that to be worthwhile, and even then it might not be worthwhile. Trusty Revolver is okay, but it's not impactful enough. Jotun Warrior is actually kind of big. It'll end a game. We have Devour, which is kind of dicey. It's, again, another one of those cards like Burnout that's hard to build around in a Forge, so we're not going to worry too much about that. Winter's Grasp is okay. Copper Hall Porter is pretty good, so we could just take a Copper Hall Porter at this point and move into Huru. And I think I'm going to do that. Now Serpent Trainer. Serpent Trainer is a great card. Flying is really important in any kind of limited environment, so that's Draft or Forge. And being able to get a second creature out of it is very, very powerful, because then your opponents have to use, if you manage to get the hit in, they're going to have to use 2 pieces of removal to kill it, which is just a massive advantage for you. Skyrider Vanguard is very powerful when we already have 2 decent flyers. The Strategize is pretty okay, because it gives us good card selection. And then there's Polymorph, which is a removal spell. We're not going to get a lot of removal spells, especially in the colors that we are. We do have a Static Bolt. I'm really tempted to just still take Skyrider Vanguard, though, and I'm going to take it. I could be wrong on that one, but I like Skyrider a little too much. I'm going to take Sky Snapper here now, too. The Haru deck tends to have a lot of flying, so I like the Skyrider Vanguard because of that. You're generally going to get Spark because they all have flying, and then you also get the advantage of pumping everything up on your team, and that's just kind of huge. Electropy is terrible. It does enable Spark if you absolutely have to have that, but it's very, very hard to use. Argenport Soldier is a very reasonable pick here, because we wouldn't mind it too, but I'm going to take the Sky Snapper. And now we have Spell Shield Architect to give something Aegis. Slope Sergeant, which is very good if you have the Yetis. Problem is, right now we have no Yeti. It doesn't seem like the best idea for our deck. So it's Inspire or Spell Shield. I might just want the Inspire, although Spell Shield is pretty solid. I'll just take Spell Shield. so it's a close one. There's Treasury Guard. Endurance creatures are kind of nice, and I wouldn't mind a 3. Town Watchman is huge, but also quite expensive. Doesn't have a lot of attack power either, so that's kind of a medium hit. Crown Watch Longsword could be good, especially with all of our flyers. We can put it on something that has flying and just keep building it up. I think that's a pretty good idea. I think that the AI, there's a couple things with the AI that are important. And just limited in general. Honestly, limited in general, Voltrons, quote-unquote, where you just make a big creature, can be pretty good, especially if you have protection like Spell Shield Architect. Eternal just seems to kind of gravitate it a little bit that way, where making a giant creature through Warcry, through weapon attachments, through, you know, Aegis and things like that has been a pretty solid strategy. But also the AI is really, really bad against any kind of combat tricks. So they don't play around any combat tricks or removal. And so if you can pick those up, they're at a premium. I'm going to take Cobalt Acolyte here because giving something flying is, I think, a little more important than having the 1/1. We have a Spark Cloudsnake Breeder here, which will give a 1/2 Cloudsnake Hatchling. That's okay because both of these other cards are very low impact to honestly almost no impact. Not a great card in Cloudsnake. It's fine, but not amazing, but everything else was really bad. I like Crafty Yeti a fair bit. Again, with all the flyers, we should be able to get Spark most of the time, and then draw and discard is pretty good. You'll generally have something that you can throw away, just like an extra power, and draw an extra card. Valkyrie Militant is fine, just another flyer. We want to grab as many as we can, since that's the way that we're going. Ooh, this is a close one. I did say that I like combat tricks a lot, so Ironclad Oath could be okay. Problem is that it's really expensive, so that's kind of tough. And Stormcrasher is really good. Like, 3 mana flyer that then later on becomes a 4/4 is so good. Being able to use this later, it's good early and it's good late. Cards that are good both early and late tend to be amazing. Stormcrasher is very solid. So this is a close one. Which is just how bad the AI is with the actual combat trick math, though. I think that I'm going to take the Ironclad Oath. I want some kind of combat tricks, and I haven't really seen any yet. Now let's take another Crafty Yeti. I could take Trailblaze, but that card's pretty low impact. Another Cobalt Acolyte is good. Honestly, Alchemical Blast is very underrated. It's perfectly fine to take, but Cobalt Acolyte is honestly kind of insane, and especially when we have Skyrider Vanguard. Flying is such a powerful effect. To put it on a 3-power creature that can just give anything, like even a big fatty flying, is really, really nice. I'm going to take Alchemical Blast now. I don't really need those early game cards. Alchemical Blast can be removal for some problematic things, or just a combat trick where sometimes if you need to kill like a 5/5 or a 7/7, you can attack into it, they block, and then you Alchemical Blast it away. You're 2 for 1 in yourself, like you're spending 2 cards to get rid of 1 card from your opponents, but there's a decent amount of time where you just have to do that. We're going to play some pretty medium cards too in the Forge. You don't have a lot of choice. Eventually you're going to have to play some bad cards. I think Yeti Spy might be our bad card here. We have Copperhelm Marshal as a 3/3 for 3. Only weapon that we have is Crown Watch Longsword. I wouldn't mind a little bit of early game. It's no 2 though. I'm going to take Copperhelm. I like things that have more impact. Ooh, Static Bolt number 2 is nice. So they get better in multiples. When you draw a second one, they increase by 1, so you'll deal 3 damage after you draw the second. Icebow is an interesting card. There's a bunch of Infiltrate cards inside of Eternal, which means that when it deals damage to the opposing player, then an effect goes off. Icebow can actually trigger those. So I've been a pretty big fan of Icebow since they introduced Infiltrate, and I do enjoy that. So we can certainly do that. Shield Bash, a thing, I suppose. It does a bunch of things that aren't very good, and all of them together makes it an okay card, but not amazing. I think I'd just rather Icebow. Curse of Taxation is really bad. That's not at all useful. Lumbering Gruen is massive, and we just want to be attacking with it, so that's okay. It's terrible on defense because you can't actually kill anything. So when it blocks, it stuns itself, and that removes it from combat. So it doesn't actually deal the damage. And then it can't attack the next turn. Not something that you really want to be using as a defensive card, but as an offensive card, it's pretty good. This thing gives anything flying, which is pretty powerful, but we already have 2 of the Cobalt Acolytes, so we're just going to go with Minotaur Duelist here. Stunning a unit is really nice. And now we have Northwind Herald, which is pretty medium. 3/2 flying for 6 is extremely expensive. And getting it for free is tough. It's not that easy to do a lot of the time. Might be okay here because we have a fair number of 2s and 3s, but I mean, then we play 2 3s. We've already spent 6, so it's not that much of a savings. Meditation Trainer is okay. It's nice, like, even if we don't have anything that gets +1/+1, one of the big things with it is that it will also be just a big wall on the ground. So it's hard for them to bust through 5 health on this thing. They need a really large creature to do it, and we're going to try and fight them in the air, so I'm thinking it's Meditation Trainer. We do also have Spell Shield Architect to give Aegis to some of our flyers, which will give them 2 or more battle skills, so we're going to do that. Skywalk Instructor to give more flying, and yeah, I'm okay with that. Now we have Valkyrie Spire Guard. +2/+2, will you have another Valkyrie? Don't think we actually have any, just the Valkyrie Militant. Yeah, so that's really it. Nocturnal Observer is very good, but probably not amazing in this. Lawman Sidearm is okay. We don't really have any Gunslingers either, so I'm thinking that it's just the 4-mana 3/3 flyer. That card's just solid on its own. We already picked Saurian Stranger for the exact same reason. This card's fantastic. It's just a 4-mana 3/3, and I think that Spire Guard is good enough as well. And let's go to our games. Yeah, this hand seems acceptable. I'm just going to keep it. We've got a removal. It's a little slow, but decent top end of 3/2 flyer. Give something else flying is nice. And generally, they're not super fast at this point. Plus, we do have Static Bolt to get anything that's really problematic early. Like, for example, Argentport Soldier. Ooh, wow. Man, Serpent Trainer is nice. I'm hoping that we find something that we can put on the ground so we can use Skywalk Instructor. But Serpent Trainer alone is going to be really solid. Yeah, see, they don't play that great of cards. That card doesn't do a whole lot.
Peace is its own reward.
Steadfast Deputy is not a problem. 1 mana... 1 mana 1/1s are not your issue. And hopefully they don't do that, which they do. Darn. Good news, I can now make it fly again, I suppose. But we'll just play Saurian Stranger right now. We're in a good position. We have most of our expensive cards, so our choices here are generally going to be... Wow, that's unfortunate. Generally what's going to happen is we're either going to draw power, which we did. Unfortunately it was depleted. Or we're going to draw something that's cheap enough to play. So that's why it's not a bad spot to be in. I could attack with both because of the Ironclad Oath. And kill the 2/5. I'm just not really excited about that yet. I'd want to get Skyrider Vanguard down and just give flying to... Or give extra power to 2 extra creatures. Like, we're not under enough pressure. They're at most dealing us 2 damage, and we're attacking for a lot in the air, so there's not a whole lot of reason for us to do more than that. Oh wow, Daze. Skywalk Instructor, and we'll mentor that, so now everything flies. They'll attack in, but we have so much power coming back at them and flying, it really doesn't matter. And now we get the Lumbering Grun. And this game is essentially over. We'll just finish it off really fast. I don't think there's even much point in attacking the Lumbering Grun because I would like to use the Ironclad Oath on one of our flyers just to kill our opponent. Probably don't even need to do that, though. We have more than enough power in the air to kill them. And there we go. Our first Forge game in the bag. Alright, so our second matchup is against Primal Fury, and my guess is they're going to have a fair bit of flying. I think this hand is okay. It's kind of medium just because this really wants us to have Spark first, but it's playable. We can put an Ice Bow on it and pick little things off. Alright, cool. Copper Hall Porter is a great pickup. I like this hand because it doesn't really need a lot of power, and we have a bunch of units. We've got some attachments for them, so there's not a lot of bad draws for us. Something that's really expensive would be bad, but we don't have too many cards that aren't like 2 or 3 costs, so it's pretty easy for us to just jam with what we have. And I'm going to attack with the Porter, see if they block. They do. Now, I could wait and try and get value with this, but I think that the best value that I have is just to continue attacking. So I'm going to play it, despite not getting the Spark. Violent Gust. How rude. And they keep the card on top. Well, there's a big boy. I'm worried that this is... Okay, thank goodness. I'm worried about the... oh, wow, I can't remember the name. The incarnation in blue, where it's a X3 flyer, where X is equal to the number of primal influence that you have. So they could actually have that somewhere in there. Probably not too likely at this level of the Forge, but I'm a bit worried about that with no flyers. Flyers can be a problem for us right now.
Got you.
So this is interesting. We don't want to get hit with Yeti Spy, but I also want our Crafty Yeti to do something. So I'm going to do that, and it's going to die. Well then. I could Static Bolt to get the Spark and use the Crafty Yeti, but I'm not super excited about that. I suppose Lumbering Gruen's just fine. We're doing a pretty good job at racing if we have to. And they stun it. Alright. Well, nothing that we were going to do really could have stopped this from getting in. Unless you went Crafty Yeti, Ice Bow it to kill that. But doesn't seem super necessary. Oh, cool. That was a nice card to pick up. So now we can Ice Bow. And honestly, I'm just going to shoot them. Because I really want the Spark from this Crafty Yeti. I don't really care about the Yeti Spy now that it's hit us. Ooh, Copper Hull Marshal with the Crown Watch Longsword is nice. I could just get rid of Spell Shield Architect. We've got a lot of power coming in at them, so we're okay with just doing that. And we can give Flying to our 6/7.
Take it to the skies.
Attack with everything and play Copper Hull Marshal.
You messed with the
We can stun and kill this next turn. So we can stun this, kill this, and almost certainly win.
Who's out there?
Oh wow. So now we can just kill everything. Kill or stun all of the boys and all of the girls. Kill our opponent. And we're 2-0. So that's where I'm going to stop right now. We're going to kind of fast forward through the rest of the forges, just because of the simple fact that we're going to play a few of them. We've got a lot of gold. We just want to try and keep going through those, and I thought this would be a nice little taste. I don't think the forge matches are particularly interesting from a viewer perspective, just because it is against AI, and the AI is kind of dull in a lot of ways. But I hope that this gave you an idea of how to take advantage of it. Use lots of evasions, so you want to use Overwhelm, Flying, Quick Draw if you have it, things like that, Unblockability. There's not a lot of things that have Unblockable, but there are a few things. And then a bunch of removal spells, and that'll be really helpful for you. Lots of combat tricks, because your opponent will do a lot of really, really silly blocks. So for example, if you have like a 3/3 creature, and they have 3 creatures that are 1/2, it seems kind of obvious that if you attack into that, you would have to have some kind of a trick. But the game just doesn't recognize that. It thinks, oh, well, I've got a better trade, and immediately blocks with all of them, and then you can just clean house. So you can get all 3 of the creatures very easily if you have a single removal spell. Or if you have like a thing like a Finest Hour, which gives +3/+3. So you're going to be looking for those style of cards when you're doing these forges and trying to get those rank up chests. And now we're going to move on to Gauntlet in the next part of our series, which is our next video.